It has been 2 years since the world as we knew it transformed irrevocably. What was meant to be a simple outing, a day at the beach with my son Leo, quickly unraveled into something unexpected. Ethan, my husband, was unable to join us on this occasion. He did not. Work held a paramount significance in my life, and solitude had become my familiar companion. Yet that day carried an unmistakable sense of difference, not just in the past but in the present as well. As the sun bathed us in its golden glow, we unfurled the towels with care. Perhaps the warmth of that day was a touch excessive. I reclined, savoring a fleeting moment of tranquility away from the clamor of life, and requested Leo to assist me in applying sunscreen to my back. I hadn't given it much thought. I am a parent, my child. What would compel me to do that? Initially, it appeared as though he was merely lending a hand. Came into view after that moment. His fingers brushed against me repeatedly, descending further with each caress. I allowed him to continue unimpeded. What held me back from taking that step? You think you understand who you are. You are family. Yet, there are instances when a single moment can shatter everything. It happened for me at the beach that day. Ever since that moment, I have felt a profound change within me. For more than 15 years, I shared my life with Ethan as his wife. Those familiar with our lives would have described us as an ideal pair, residing in a charming home, raising delightful children, and enjoying a stable, fulfilling life. Only once you step inside do the issues reveal themselves. To experience hollowness is a sensation that eludes understanding until one is immersed in it. For years, Ethan's mind was consumed by his work, dedicating weekends, late nights, and even holidays to his craft. He accomplished it for our sake, I would often remind myself. His relentless effort and unwavering commitment were destined to improve our family's future. However, that line of reasoning began to lose its clarity over time. What is the value of a house that remains unoccupied? He was unable to perceive my presence any longer. Upon his arrival, he scarcely cast a glance in my direction. He ceased inquiring about my well-being, desires, and necessities. Our conversations were brief, touching on matters such as bills, food, or the children. His concern extended to Leo and his younger sister, Lily. He resembled a specter, even in their presence. It exists, yet it feels elusive. I would sit opposite him at the table, pondering whether he still recognized my presence. That morning is etched in my memory. Ethan burst through the door just as I was busy in the kitchen. He retrieved his suitcase, pressed a gentle kiss on Lily's head, and cast me a fleeting glance. I apologize, Freya. Regrettably, I won't be able to attend today. He mentioned that an unexpected issue arose at work. I chose not to contest it. I merely nodded and forced down the lump in my throat, as I have always done. I reassured myself that everything was all right. Leo and I could venture forth, just the two of us. At the age of 16, Leo stood tall and slender. His father's brown eyes gazed out from a visage that was gentler, more delicate in its features. Upon revealing that it would merely be the two of us, he offered little in the way of response. With a mere shrug, he accepted the bags and trailed behind me to the car. He occupied the passenger seat, immersed in music, gazing out the window as countless teens often do. A smile crept onto my face as I observed him. He transformed so swiftly that I frequently feared a mere blink might cause me to lose him as well. As I navigated the winding road to the beach, thoughts of Ethan lingered in my mind, as they so frequently did. Memories of our shared moments flooded back to me. Evenings spent at the cinema, leisurely strolls, and spontaneous adventures, all crafted in the spirit of enjoyment. I reflected on the way he would caress me, the way his eyes sparkled at the mere sight of me. Years had passed since I experienced that feeling. I experienced little in the way of emotion. I felt utterly exhausted from the weight of invisibility. Upon our arrival, Leo assisted me in transporting our belongings to a serene location by the water's edge. He unfurled the umbrella as I arranged the towels beneath it. For some inexplicable reason, I felt compelled to speak with him. Perhaps he was the sole presence in that moment. Perhaps what I truly required was merely a willing ear. Do you find it pleasant to be outdoors? I endeavored to infuse my words with a sense of joy as I spoke. He swept his hair away from his face and gave a nod of acknowledgement. He replied, "Yeah, Mom, it is quite pleasant." As I reclined upon the towel, the sun's warmth enveloped my skin. For a brief moment, I allowed myself to do nothing, seeking to release the weight of the stress that had accumulated over the past few years, if only for a fleeting instant. In that moment, the thought of sunscreen crossed my mind. I rose from my slumber and cast my gaze upon Leo. "Would you be so kind as to assist me in placing this on my back?" I inquired. "I find myself unable to reach it." He paused for a moment, contemplating, before finally reaching for the bottle I offered him. I reclined once more, my back pressed against the towel, and endeavored to bide my time. His initial touch was gentle and deliberate, as if he were mindful of causing me any pain. It brought a smile to my face, reminding me of the way his tiny fingers would clasp mine as we navigated the street together in those carefree days of his youth. I advised him you might want to apply a bit more pressure. Yet, my voice remained soft. "Everything is fine." As he applied the oil to my shoulders and back, a newfound confidence radiated from him with each movement. The warmth and rhythm of his hands compelled me to shut my eyes. I allowed myself to savor it for a brief moment. It had been ages since I felt the warmth of another's touch. The weight of that thought bore down on me far more than I ought to have expressed. Then, his hands began to glide downward, gently and deliberately tracing the curve of my back. I drew in a sharp breath, my lips parted in an attempt to voice my thoughts, yet silence enveloped me. Despite the whirlwind of thoughts swirling within me, I chose to remain silent. I reassured myself that all was well, convincing myself that he was merely lending a hand and that my worries were unfounded. I was aware that I was not, however. Once he set the towel aside, his hands lingered for a brief moment, suspended near the edge. I sensed the weight of his uncertainty mingling with my own, yet I chose not to intervene. Instead, I uttered words that I came to regret. "Everything is fine. That can also be touched." The statement lingered in the air, charged with a sense of danger, and the moment it escaped my lips, I realized that no one else dared to utter it. He remained silent, yet Leo pressed on without hesitation. I shut my eyes firmly, sensing his hands exploring places they ought not to have ventured. I wondered if he could sense the rapid thumping of my heart. I felt the urge to rise and command him to cease. I did not, however. I found myself unable to do so. I took no action regarding it. I remained perplexed by the reasons behind it. Perhaps it was the sensation of profound solitude. Perhaps it was the yearning for acknowledgement, despite its inherent flaws, or maybe I had simply lost my concern. On that fateful day at the beach, a part of me shattered, and ever since, nothing has felt quite right. I appreciate your company on this journey. I understand that this may be difficult to accept, and I truly value your willingness to listen. If you find this story captivating or believe it could resonate with someone you know, kindly consider liking and subscribing. It allows me to weave more narratives like this and gives me a sense of companionship in my journey. It's time to progress onward. Everything seemed transformed after that day. The manner in which Leo regarded me in the moments that followed, the events that transpired and the emotions they stirred within me were immutable, beyond my grasp to alter. It was neither fleeting nor insignificant, continued unabated. As I gazed into his eyes, an elusive quality held my attention, leaving me unable to decipher the source of his peculiar expression. Yet, I found myself unable to turn my gaze elsewhere. Upon our return that night, everything lay concealed as if nothing had transpired. I fulfilled my responsibilities, prepared dinner, inquired about Leo's school day, and folded clothes into the late hours of the night. Reflecting on the events of that afternoon, my hands trembled incessantly. His hands, the manner in which he lingered, and the tension I felt all conspired to keep him in my thoughts. I regretted my actions and resented the way he made me feel regarding my own son. Ethan remained oblivious to anything amiss. He consistently arrived home late, his face weary and his tie loosened. By instinct, he pressed his lips to my cheek, a delicate trace of the affection that once lingered there. "Has it been a lengthy day?" I initiated the conversation, seeking to spark a dialogue. With a mere grunt and a nod, he made his way toward the living room, the customary course of action. His presence rendered me an afterthought, leaving me with the unsettling sensation of being invisible once more. As the night unfolded, Ethan's rhythmic snores filled the air beside me. While I remained wide awake, my gaze fixed upon the ceiling above. Though the house enveloped me in silence, my mind echoed with a cacophony of thoughts. My thoughts were consumed by Leo, day in and day out. His hands, his eyes, and all that had transpired. I had to bring it to a close before it spiraled further, for I understood deep down that it was not right. Yet a shadowed, more isolated facet of my being clung to it, yearning for the caress, the recognition, and the feeling of being acknowledged. As the days slipped away, Leo remained silent on the matter, yet his silence resonated more profoundly than any spoken words could convey. He remained close to me. Rather, he appeared to linger nearby. He would observe me as I prepared meals, tidied up, or simply sat alone in the quiet of the night. Transpired. I allowed him to continue, just as I permitted myself to do the same. The following weekend was oppressively warm, and the house seemed to radiate heat as if it were engulfed in flames. Once more, he slipped away, summoned by the demands of yet another unexpected shift. Once more, it was solely Leo and I. I inquired if he was comfortable returning to the beach alone. I find myself questioning the reason I mentioned it. I once believed that the great outdoors could sharpen my thoughts. I may have felt the urge to challenge myself, to discover just how far I could distance everything around me. The drive was enveloped in a serene silence. Leo chose not to listen this time. He merely gazed out the window, his knee fidgeting restlessly beneath him. I attempted to articulate a thought, to express something, anything, but the words eluded me, refusing to emerge despite my earnest efforts. The beach lay nearly deserted upon our arrival. The water shimmered in a vivid blue hue, while the gentle breeze caressed my face with a refreshing touch. Once more, we unfurled the towels, and Leo lent a hand in our preparations. This time, I found myself unable to ask him to apply sunscreen. I shut my eyes and reclined, pretending that all was well, yet his gaze lingered, palpable and unsettling. There was no doubt he caught sight of me. As the afternoon wore on, the tension reached its breaking point. We opted for the beach showers to freshen up before our departure. In an effort to rid myself of the sand, I intended for the task to be swift, yet an inexplicable occurrence unfolded that continues to baffle me. Leo was the first to step beneath the cascading water, allowing it to flow down his back. I lingered in the shadows, observing him for a brief moment before deciding to intervene. I found myself shedding my clothes, standing beside him in the cool embrace of the water, allowing its gentle flow to cascade over my skin. Leo regarded me with astonishment. His expression was a puzzle difficult to decipher. It might be astonishment, uncertainty, or perhaps something entirely different. He remained silent. After gazing into his eyes for a moment, I suggested you might consider removing your shorts as well. It is essential to rinse thoroughly. I find myself questioning the reason behind my words. Perhaps I was attempting to assert my control, to prove that I could halt everything, or maybe I was testing him or gauging my own capabilities. He hesitated briefly, yet ultimately succumbed to the moment and removed his shorts. We stood alone as the rain cascaded around us. With a deliberate pace, I inquired, "Assist me with my back." My back turned to him. Indeed, he did. As before, he exercised caution with his touch. The tension between us was unmistakable. I froze as his hands made contact with my waist. The atmosphere was dense, and the relentless rush of the water drowned out all other sounds. Perhaps I could have found a way to depart. I possessed the strength to bring it to a close. Instead, I reclined against him, took his hands, and drew them up to my chest. He remained passive as I engaged in the struggle. The events that followed are difficult for me to articulate completely. I shall refrain from doing so. It unfolded as a whirlwind of yearning, isolation, and an elusive essence that defies definition. It lacked softness. It certainly wasn't sluggish either. It was intense, futile, and misguided in every conceivable manner. I yearned to cease, yet I found myself unable to do so. I had no desire to. Once it had concluded, we remained beneath the relentless cascade, the water washing away any visible traces, yet leaving the truth untouched. He embraced me, cradled me in a way that had been absent from my life for years. I allowed him to proceed. Following that moment, silence enveloped us, leaving words unspoken between us. After a quiet stroll back to the car, we dried ourselves, gathered our belongings, and departed. A fleeting glance at Leo revealed his crimson lips and the rigidity of his movements. I realized I had ruined it all. I was certain that we had transgressed a boundary that can never be traversed once more. Yet, for the first time in years, I sensed a pulse of life within me. The journey back in the car began in silence. The atmosphere inside the car felt dense and oppressive, as if the very air conspired to anchor us in place. Though my gaze was fixed on the road and my hands gripped the steering wheel, my thoughts continued to race uncontrollably. I could still sense him, the magnitude of what had just transpired, his hands and presence lingering in the air. My gaze was irresistibly drawn to him in the passenger seat. He remained motionless, gazing out the window. His flushed complexion and pursed lips revealed the depth of his agitation. Suddenly, without warning, he broke the silence. "Mother," he uttered softly, his voice barely above a whisper. I found myself avoiding his gaze. I refrained from acting, yet his voice resonated clearly in my ears. "What is this? What transpired back there?" My heart raced with intensity. For a fleeting moment, I contemplated feigning ignorance, diverting the conversation, or simply brushing it aside. Yet, the truth lingered. Denial offered no solace, especially in light of our shared experience. After drawing in a hesitant breath, I confessed to them, "I don't know." Indeed, it was true, or as near to it as I could manage. Understanding what had transpired and the reasons behind it proved to be a challenging endeavor for me. All I understood was that everything had transformed. The stillness lingered as we rolled into the driveway. The engine fell silent as I came to a halt, yet neither of us stirred from our place. Leo then scrutinized me intently. A certain fear gripped me as I gazed into his eyes. It was neither shame nor guilt, nor was it uncertainty. It was desire. "For how long have you been experiencing these feelings?" His question sent a chill down my spine. The very question lingered in my thoughts. As I gazed into his eyes, a profound awakening stirred within me. "I find myself uncertain." I whispered gently, "Perhaps I have spoken for longer than I intended." We lingered in the shadows, the unspoken words hanging heavily in the silence around us. "I am convinced that" marked the conclusion of it all. We intended to step inside, let it slip away, and pretend it never occurred. Yet, Leo's mind wandered in a different direction. "He has kissed me before." The door before me could be opened. Initially, it wavered uncertainly. He moved slowly, as though he feared I might retreat. I did not, however. I allowed him to kiss me, and in return, he kissed me back. At that moment, I completely lost my composure. It was the solitude that had enveloped me, the years of neglect, or perhaps the way Leo gazed at me, a look that felt unfamiliar and cherished after such a long time. I chose not to resist whatever it was that came my way. He drew me nearer right outside our home, his hands gliding over me as if they were meant to be there. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, I experienced a surge of vitality. Essential. Noted. Nothing else held significance. Time seemed to blur as we found ourselves entwined in each other's presence. There. Ultimately, we ventured inside. The journey to the door is a blur, yet the sensation of his hand in mine lingers, as does the charged silence enveloping us. As they crossed the threshold, the situation deteriorated. It felt as though we had been restraining ourselves for an eternity, and at last we were free to release it all. The dam had given way. Subsequently, the days turned overcast. Leo had a way of drawing near, seeking moments to brush against me or meet my gaze when the world faded into the background. I repeatedly urged myself to break free from this cycle, yet each time my gaze fell upon him, I was met with the same void that echoed within me. We were reflections of one another, echoing each other's longing, and I found myself unable to refuse. I had no desire to. As I reclined in bed beside Ethan, my gaze drifted to the ceiling, the rhythm of his steady breathing filling the quiet space around us. My thoughts were consumed by Leo. His touch awakened a sense of vitality within me once more. Though my guilt coiled within me like a serpent, it failed to restrain my resolve. I was acutely aware of its wrongness, of the inevitable unraveling that awaited. Yet I found myself ensnared by its irresistible allure. The situation between us deteriorated further until it ultimately came to a halt. One evening, I found myself at the kitchen sink, washing dishes to distract myself from the swirling thoughts in my mind, while Ethan toiled away at work and Lily slept peacefully. Leo lingered in my shadow. His gaze met mine with the same intensity as it had at the beach when I spun around. I spoke to Leo gently, urging him, "Be careful." He stayed put despite the urge to flee. He drew near enough for me to sense the warmth of his breath against my skin. She expressed, "Mom, you occupy my thoughts constantly." I felt a chill wash over me. My heart raced with such intensity that I feared it might explode from my chest. I instructed him to wait, retreat to his room, and grant me some solitude. I ought to have kept those words to myself, yet I let them slip out. I find myself unable to cease. That was the moment everything fell apart. Once again, Leo pressed his lips to mine. This moment feels more challenging, a necessity that weighs heavily. I returned his kiss. It didn't trouble me that it was incorrect. I lost sight of Ethan, Lily, and the world we had crafted together. All that mattered was Leo, my boy, the sole individual in years who made me feel valued. Since that day at the beach, nothing has returned to its former state. I doubt it will ever happen. Leo and I have crossed a line that cannot be undone. The weight of shame lingers, a constant ache that cuts deep, yet it does not deter me. That is what fills me with the greatest fear. Each day, I gaze at Ethan and Lily, pondering how they remain oblivious to it all. They remain oblivious to the fractures within our family. They may simply be preoccupied with their own lives. Perhaps I've simply become more skilled at concealing it in the present moment. I am aware that this is fleeting, however. Secrets have a way of revealing themselves. When the moment arrives, things will inevitably fall apart. I have made attempts to bring it to a close. I convinced myself it was misguided. Both Leo and I are worthy of something greater. Yet, I find myself adrift each time his fingers brush against my skin or his gaze meets mine, as if I am the sole focus of his universe. For the first time in years, I feel truly alive, all because of him. Maybe even forever? I must confront that reality. This is damaged, and I find myself at a loss for how to repair it. I find myself questioning my ability to accomplish this task. This is precisely why I am sharing this tale. I wish for someone to possess the knowledge, the undeniable truth, a notion that has eluded my contemplation. I urgently seek assistance to escape this predicament before time runs out. I would appreciate hearing from you if you have any assistance to offer, or if you know someone who has experienced a similar situation. Consider this a cautionary note. Solitude can lead you to realms you never imagined existed. Do not allow it to consume your existence as it once did mine. Do not postpone your awareness until chaos ensues to grasp the reality of the situation. Once you cross that line, there's no turning back. I appreciate your willingness to listen. Please share your thoughts and insights. If this video resonated with you, give it a thumbs up and follow for more content. I long for the sensation of not being alone. Sometimes, the deepest betrayals are the ones we inflict upon ourselves. We all engage in these behaviors towards ourselves.